Well, I got this article here, this new website that I found, strangesounds.org. Seems to have a like a progressive bent to it, but they published this little. Well, actually, it's not news from July, but the article is still the news is still relevant here because it's still going on. So they got this leftist bent on how big corporations destroying the American dream! Exclamation mark. BlackRock is buying up U.S. homes like no tomorrow. Scary headline, and it's like they're fear mongering. What as with anything, there's a couple. Usually with articles like this, that's designed for clicks. Really, um, it's fear mongering, and then there's a couple grains of truth, but the truth is a lot more benign than what it seems. And the real culprits, the real villains, are probably usually left out. So let's get into it. Home ownership has been long considered an important tool for building financial security and wealth, but it's becoming more difficult for Americans to achieve. Younger generations are less likely to own a home than those from older generations, with millennial home ownership rate at 8% lower than that of Generation X and baby boomers at the same age. But you gotta consider that homes are becoming more expensive, as in terms of their because of all sorts of zoning and laws and what have you. Back in the day, it was profitable for companies to build cheap starter homes, like just like a 2 bedrooms and a bathroom and a small kitchen, and homes were cheap. Now, if it costs X amount of dollars to construct any home, then they might as well start constructing a little bit more luxurious homes. So it's just the market has changed. Homes are more expensive today because of regulations. If the rate had remained steady, about 3.4 million more people would own homes in the U.S. today, but instead younger adults are increasingly choosing to either rent or live with their parents. There are a number of reasons why home ownership has become less attainable than it was decades ago, from rising debt in younger generations to increasing cost of living. Well, the rising debt, we all know who's to blame for that. It's the awful student loan system that enabled colleges to charge so much for college. A report by the Urban Institute found half of those aged 18 to 34 were spending upward of 30% on their income on rent, making them rent burdened. And if those individuals are living in New York and SF, I mean, especially SF or LA, a lot of those cities, it's the zoning that's to blame. I mean, cheap apartments could be built, but most of the land is zoned for single-family houses to preserve the character. So you have the progressive politicians to blame. In the first quarter of 2021, 15% of U.S. homes were sold and purchased by corporate investors. And here, where I think this is a bit of misleading right here. 50% of homes were sold and purchased by corporate investors, but I own, for example, I'm not a corporate investor, but I own a small apartment in an LLC. So a lot of people, a lot of single or just people who are buying their first investment property, or they buy a first and second investment property or any investment property just for legal reasons, for liability reasons, and to get certain type of hard money loans, or to get some kind of investment loans. They're not going to give it to you. You need to form a little LLC before you buy this home. So these 15% doesn't mean it's 15% of giant corporations. Most of it could just be a mom and pop investor that formed an LLC just to buy this one property. They're competing with middle class Americans for homes, and the average American has virtually no chance of winning a home over an investment firm, which may pay 20 to 50% over asking price in cash, sometimes scooping up entire neighborhoods at once so they can turn them into rentals. Well, yeah, I mean Zillow was paying above that, like 20%, 10%, 20% above market price, and they got wrecked, and they ended up liquidating all their inventory, losing billions. Yeah, well, I mean, obviously, they could overpay, like a big firm could overpay, but they're just going to lose money. This is not a winning strategy for them. And this entire neighborhoods, yeah, I mean, what's wrong with that? Like, there's a developer that builds new subdivisions, and the developer knows that there's increased demand. They can actually make more money selling it to these investment banks. Well, that's just going to create more demand for create new subdivisions, pushing the housing prices down. All this stuff is kind of deflationary. Although I would say, yes, Warren Buffett was asked many years ago about single family homes, and he said, yeah, they're a great investment. The numbers work great on paper. This is all fine and dandy, but he said, if you can find a way how to manage hundreds of homes or thousands of homes, like, let me know. Well, I guess BlackRock or some of these companies, they did finding a way how to manage, because if you're just like a giant company and you start buying those random houses, you're going to lose a ton of money, because the thing is, these houses need a lot more maintenance than anybody could possibly imagine, especially older homes, and especially if things are not standardized, if they have like different heaters and different size windows and different doors. I mean, what a logistical nightmare. And you're going to have like, there's a reason why a big company buys like a 300 unit or 400 unit apartment building. They'll just hire a maintenance, or like hire a maintenance staff that works on that, right? But if you have just random homes scattered everywhere, you want the management nightmare of dealing with thousands of handyman. I mean, that's just a recipe for losing money. So yes, these Wall Street companies are sucking up homes, but they have a very strict criteria as far as like they want 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, or it has to be built within the first, like they're buying new, as far as I can tell. They are buying newly built houses, like cookie cutter suburban McMansion houses that have almost zero maintenance issues. So they're not stealing your American dream. If you want, you don't have to compete with them. You can buy a house that's outside their buy box. Buy a house with 2 bedrooms and 3 bathrooms, or some kind of weird layout, or buy a house that's older that needs that you'll need to do some drywalling or replace the kitchen yourself or whatever. They are not scooping up every single house. I mean, I just Googled the number. The author here claims about 30,000 houses they can buy. I mean, there are over 140 million houses. There's a bunch of houses in America, bunch of houses that Wall Street would not touch with a 10-foot pole because it's outside of their buy box. So this fear mongering is just, it's kind of baseless, but you can tell why they wrote it for clicks. BlackRock is one of the number of companies I mentioned by Wall Street Journal in a recent expose. Yield-chasing investors are snapping up single-family homes, competing with ordinary Americans and driving up prices. The question is, why would institutional investors in BlackRock, which manages assets worth $5.7 trillion, be interested in overpaying for modest single-family homes? To understand the answer, you must look at BlackRock's partners, which include the World Economic Forum, the big boogeyman, and their extreme political and financial clout. In a Twitter thread posted by user Cultural Husbandry, it's noted. Here we go. BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street control $20 trillion worth of assets. BlackRock alone has blah, 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 blah. Means with 5 to 10% down, they can get mortgages on 130 to 170,000 homes per year. Every year, they can outright buy 30 homes per year, just like BlackRock. And I'm pretty sure. I mean, I need to check the replies. I'm pretty sure this is false. 5 to 20% down payment, that's for an average. 5% down payment, that's not an investment down payment. That's a government supported low down payment. BlackRock and these Wall Street firms are not putting 5% down. They have to put way more down if they borrow money. Because this 5% down, that's just the government securing loans for first-time home buyers. They're not, BlackRock is not getting first-time home buyer status from FHA, not even close. And here's replies. This is warfare. Make no doubt, Lloyd's Bank of London is doing it as a very great financial institution across the world. This must be stopped. It's greater threat than slow creep of communism, BLM, or anything else you can think of. Combined, it's a death stroke. Although, I don't know why he separated communism and BLM. They're pretty much the same ideology. The average American is pushed out of their housing market, and most of the available housing is owned by investment groups and corporations. You become beholden to them as your landlord. This fulfills the part of the Great Reset new normal dictum as part. You'll own nothing and be happy. Okay, so the Great Reset, I mean the Charles Schwab stuff, all of that stuff is kind of creepy, and it's got a ton of stuff wrong with it. I could criticize it. I need to look into it more. But the whole thing about own nothing, it will be happy. It's being taken way out of context. What was meant by that is, like if you do any kind of study of like people's stuff, like let's say you open up a tool shed, the average how would you call it? The average drill is used like 8 minutes in its own its lifetime. There's a bunch of things that people own that it just collects dust and they only get a couple minutes out of that tool or whatever item. So if you want to be in the future, you could have it where things are just borrowed or rented, and delivery drones can just draw you want a chop saw, or you want like a circular saw, or you want some kind of tool, you want to borrow a car, you want to buy or anything, well, just like a drone or something can just deliver it to you, and you can use it till one hour, for a couple days, couple hours, and you can go back. You don't need to buy the whole thing. It doesn't need to collect dust. A lot of the stuff though that is manufactured ends up like not doing anything. It's not hardly ever used. So that's what they meant by it, but obviously people wanted to, and I agree. There's like the World Economic Forum, and all those leaders and all those people are colluding, and it's creepy, and they probably don't have your best interest at heart. Yet taking this little thing out of context, I don't know. It's gotta be honest. The understated implication of the world resources will be owned and controlled by the technocratic elite, and you'll have to pay for the temporary use of absolutely everything. Nothing actually belonged to you, including your home. So say another giant private equity firm, Blackstone, is also deeply entrenched in U.S. real estate. Blackstone is the largest landlord in the U.S. as well as the largest real estate company worldwide. Portfolio of $325 billion. But if you look at actual value, I mean the entire value of all the real estate in the United States, it's just a tiny drop in the bucket. In June 2021, Blackstone agreed to buy Home Partners of America, a company that rents single-family houses. It has 17,000 houses. Tiny drop in the bucket. Insignificant as far as the whole market goes. Blackstone and BlackRock sound alike for a reason. Yeah, a little story about how they came, how they're from the same people, same founders. Now, with many struggling due to year-long business shutdowns and lockdowns, and home prices rising, many Americans are having difficulty finding affordable single-family homes to buy. And this is true, but it's not. I wouldn't the culprit is not BlackRock or Blackstone. The culprit is the Federal Reserve, pumping so much hot liquidity, hot money. I mean, do you believe them? It's if you listen to the experts, it was necessary. Otherwise, it would have spiraling deflation, complete economic collapse, because the whole world needed dollars, needed liquidity. So they made a trade-off by blasting the economy with all this money. Well, people got the money, and instead of having inflation like termites eat away at their savings in the bank, well, this money has to go somewhere. Stocks, real estate, some productive assets. So yes, things got inflated. But not only that, I mean, it's just America is just not producing enough houses. If you got rid of a lot of the zoning and a lot of the costs that make it so difficult and so expensive to buy, I'm sure economy condos, huge economy buildings could be, huge building with economy condos could be springing up everywhere, putting down pressure on just living, just house prices, apartment units, everything in general. BlackRock owns your house, Gates owns your farmland. But as BlackRock is busy buying up houses, Gates is hard at work amassing farmland, is now the largest owner of farmland in the U.S. Gates is now pushing for drastic fundamental changes, including widespread consumption of fake meat, adoption of next-generation nuclear energy, and growth as fungus as new type of nutritional protein. I don't quite see anything wrong with the next-generation nuclear stuff's pretty good. Growth of fungus, okay, that's fine for protein. That's just mushrooms. That's great. I like mushrooms. I mean, could be worse. Then they have a video of Russell Brand, and you know that this article has left any kind of serious journalism. And I did watch his video, and he was criticizing the promotional video for Davos at the Economic Forum, and the whole line about you owning nothing. Although it says you own nothing and be happy, and then the very next shot is a drone delivering a package to you. And of course he wants to spin it in the worst way possible, but again, they're just making a point, like, there's no need to waste this is not going to be imposed from the top down. There's no need to waste tons of resources producing a drill for every single human being alive. Like, hundreds of people can share the same drill if we have like these delivery drones. That's what they meant. Anyway, just gets me. Ultimately, we're heading for a new wave of colonization in the name of sustainability and net zero carbon emissions. The engineered pandemic has catalyzed the transfer of wealth to the rich, while major players pushing the Great Reset are still emerging. Blackrock and Blackstone, names that keep your eye on. The media fueled dividing lines of race, religion, past colonization, gender, and sexual orientation are meant to divide and distract the average person from the real sources of oppression and inequality in our world today, namely companies like BlackRock and Vanguard, who are seeking to eventually bring about a new form of feudalism where they own everything and the average person owns nothing. Okay, so the article here is striking a little socialist tone, little tone from Jacobin. So they don't like they're on the left, but they don't like the race politics. They like the worker, the proletariat. There's the bourgeoisie angle. So this article is striking that little tone, so you can kind of see politically where they're at. Yeah, I mean, yeah, the companies are buying, and summarize, big companies are buying up real estate, but the type of real estate, maybe I'm biased. I don't like. I'm just gonna put out there. I don't like McMansions anyway. I like my buildings with character. I like my buildings with brownstone or Italianate or shotgun or whatever they call their brick buildings, beautiful buildings that need to be restored, or any kind of old building that needs to be restored. And these guys are not looking at those buildings. They're too custom for them. They're a nightmare. They're like a maintenance nightmare. They're just buying up like probably brand new condos and brand new buildings in like subdivisions en masse. So whatever, they could have them.